Bonjour French students, welcome to our last video for Chapitre 1. And in this last video we're actually going to cover two topics. So one is talking about your university experience, college experience, what courses you take, what you like at your university. And the last part, we're going to be talking about the definite article. In the previous video, I told you a little bit about the indefinite article. So we'll distinguish those two, what they are in English and what they are in French. Okay, so up at the top here, it says l'université et les cours. So the university and courses. So the courses are classes you might take in a college. And then we see the question form that we learned about before. Est-ce que vous aimez l'université? I could just have a sentence if I just removed est-ce que, I could simply say vous aimez l'université. Okay, you like the university. I could make a question out of that. I could say vous aimez l'université. I can just make my voice go up at the end and I could be asking a question. Or just to be sure that I'm asking a question, I can also put est-ce que in front. Est-ce que vous aimez l'université? And there's no doubt that I'm asking a question. Okay, so in each of these four sections right here, we see different ways to say that you like or prefer something. So j'aime beaucoup means I like a lot. J'aime assez, I like pretty much. I like it pretty well. Je n'aime pas du tout. And so remember, for any verbs that we've learned so far, to make it negative, to make it the opposite, you're going to put ne and pas before and after it. Since the verb aimer, to like or to love in some cases, to make this negative, we're going to add ne without the e and turn it into a contraction because it begins with a vowel sound. And then we're going to add pas after it to show our negative. So je n'aime pas du tout. The du tout means at all. So if you really want to emphasize how much you dislike something, you can add that to it. And then finally, je préfère. Notice the two accent marks you see in préfère. The full verb is préférer, that is to prefer. And when I conjugate it, and you'll learn more and more conjugations as we go along, the form of the verb préférer that goes with je, I, is je préfère. So the first of the E's that you see here, we pronounce it as et, pré, and that accent goes to the right, up to the right. The other one is je préfère. It's more like the English word fair, F-A-I-R, it's pronounced like that. That E is kind of flipped the other way. There's just a slight difference in the pronunciations of those two letters. And we'll see another accent mark down here that I'll explain in just a moment. Okay, so I can say j'aime beaucoup les profs. So if I'm being pretty casual in my speech and I'm not wanting to say the whole word, I'm using kind of a slang word, I can leave off part of that word and just say j'aime les profs. Or j'aime les professeurs. J'aime les étudiants. J'aime le campus. J'aime beaucoup le livre de français. Okay, so I like my professors, I like the students, the campus, and even my French book. Okay, I could say j'aime assez la bibliothèque, or I can shorten it to le bibli. J'aime assez le bibli, if I just want to make a short form of that word. I kind of like the library. Or j'aime assez le labo. Instead of saying laboratoire, which is a long word, we do the same thing in English, right? Instead of saying dormitory, we would say dorm. Or instead of cafeteria, sometimes people might even say the caf. So we do all these things in English too. So j'aime assez le labo de biologie, the biology lab. J'aime assez les cours en ligne. Hopefully you can say that about your online courses this semester. I like my online courses, or I pretty much like my online courses. Je n'aime pas du tout les devoirs. I think most students would agree with that. Je n'aime pas du tout les examens. I don't like tests, and I don't like them at all. Je n'aime pas la salle d'informatique. so the computer lab. Informatique would be related to computers, and la salle is the room. And finally, je préfère les fêtes. So I prefer parties. And notice the little hat accent mark here. This would be the accent circonflexe, and this is like, it basically sounds like the e in bed, les fêtes. Je préfère le sport. That's self-explanatory. Je préfère les matchs de basket. Okay, so basketball games or matches. All right, moving on. Okay, so we see another question type here. You learned all about making questions with intonation, forming questions with est ce, and now we're going to add one more piece to form questions. So this que, that would be Q-U-E, but we drop the E to make a contraction with est ce. Que just means what. So when we form questions, we can form yes-no questions, like est-ce que vous étudiez? Do you study? Or are you studying? But if we want to know something more specific, we're going to add on an extra word. So that would be que. Qu'est-ce que vous étudiez? What are you studying? Or what do you study? Okay. J'étudie la philo or j'étudie la philosophie. Okay, so I study philosophy. Je n'étudie pas la littérature. Okay, I do not study literature. And I'm sure you could easily recognize the verb étudier. It's in its conjugated form with je. Okay, and we see all different kinds of subjects here. So we have les langues, l'anglais, l'espagnol, le français, and they give you the gender of these nouns here because it's hard to tell. When you see les or elle with the apostrophe, you can't tell if it's a masculine or a feminine noun. So they've given you that information there. Okay, les sciences humaines, so human sciences, l'histoire, la psychologie. Notice how I pronounce this one. We actually have to say the P. So instead of la psychologie, like you might expect it to be, in English we don't say the P, it's silent, but in French the P is pronounced. La psychologie or la psycho. Les sciences po. Yeah, that's a common abbreviation also for political science. Les sciences po or les sciences politiques. Okay, rather than les sciences humaines, in English I think we would more likely refer to these as social sciences. And then finally, les arts. Notice the liaison between les and arts, les arts. Le théâtre, la musique, la peinture. Okay, so the EI combination here is a nasal vowel, so it sounds like la peinture. Okay, a few other subjects we see here. Le commerce or le commerce international, so it's basically business or international business. Les technologies or l'informatique, les mathématiques or les maths. Okay, so that's another abbreviation. Les sciences, la bio or la biologie, la chimie or biology and chemistry. And finally, j'aime beaucoup le cours de. Okay, so I really like my class of, let's say, j'aime beaucoup le cours de les technologies, or j'aime beaucoup le cours de l'informatique. Il est facile, il est difficile, or il est intéressant. So I can say, j'aime beaucoup le cours de français. Il est très intéressant. Okay, so it's very interesting. So you can kind of mix and match these different subjects with different descriptions. And remember that il est is followed by an adjective. So j'aime beaucoup le cours d'anglais. Il est très facile. It's really easy. It should be for me, right? For all of us. Okay. And the last topic that I'll touch on before we finish up our Chapter 1 studies would be l'article défini. And I'm going to backtrack just a little bit to when we talked about l'article indéfini. Okay. So if you remember the words un, une, or des, which would correspond with a, an, or some in English, are called the indefinite article. It means they refer to something that's not that specific. It could be a general item in a category. So if I say, j'aime beaucoup, or j'ai un livre de français sur mon bureau. I have a French book on my desk. So I'm not referring to any specific French book, maybe. I'm just saying I have a book. Okay? I'm not really saying like what type of book it is, just that I have one in general. So if I go forward a little bit, I'm going to go to where it's talking about l'article défini. And l'article défini corresponds with the in English. So the is what we call the definite article. And this, we put the article the in front of any word that we want to specify. So the words le, la, elle, apostrophe, or L with an apostrophe, or les for plural before nouns is the definite article. So if I say le livre, l'homme, les livres, or les hommes, those are the different forms. So it's the book, the man, the books, or the men. Okay, we have an irregular form for man in English. For the feminine form, la librairie, so the bookstore, l'étudiante, the student, les librairies, les étudiantes. Okay, so that's how the definite article looks when you actually put it in front of words. Okay, so what do we actually use it for? To specify items, okay, just like it says there as when using the in English. So, étudier le vocabulaire à la page 23. So study the vocabulary. Which one? The one on page 23. The makes it specific. Or to say what you like, dislike, or prefer. Je n'aime pas les devoirs. Okay, so I don't like homework. I don't like that as a collection of things. Les devoirs is actually plural in French, whereas homework is singular in English. So that's a little difference between the two. To talk about something as a general category, like les langues sont faciles pour moi. So all the languages as a big category. Et les fêtes sont plus amusantes que les devoirs. Well, of course, parties are more fun than homework. So parties as a big collective thing are more fun than homework as a big collective thing. So, looking at the example sentences in English, we don't have to use any articles before languages or parties or homework. Our grammar doesn't require that. So that's a difference between English and French. They use articles a little bit more before nouns than we do. And you would notice that if you've studied Spanish before too. It's kind of similar. Okay, so that's it for Chapter 1, Le Chapitre 1. Our test for Chapter 1 is coming in about 5 days or so. So this gives you plenty of time to review the material, to look back at anything that might be confusing in the mind tap exercises, in any of the videos that you've seen. So I wish you all good luck, and let me know if you have questions about anything. Bonne chance!